Okay, we'll just give it a minute or so just for the rest of the attendees to join. Hopefully you can see a little quick poll just asking whether or not you're using Microsoft Teams for teaching. If you just yes or no that for us, please, and that will help us just moving forward with the webinar this evening. That might be us. Okay, well, hello and good evening on this sunny Wednesday afternoon from wherever you are joining us from. My name is Stuart Chain. I'm a digital learning consultant and a member of the Connected Learning team here at XMA. Today, I am joined with my colleagues Lee Milligan and Michael Conlon, and together we are going to explore the depths of Microsoft Teams, what it is, why establishments are using it, the key features that are being used to enhance teaching and learning experiences. Hopefully you'll notice now that the poll is gone that we've got a chat function just at the side. Please ask any questions that may arise during this session and we'll try and get back to you and do our best. And towards the end, there should be a wee bit of time for some Q&A. We'll maybe be able to get back to you then, or certainly afterwards, if not then. But I will pass over to my colleagues. I'll let them introduce themselves and what they're going to go through with you this evening. So good afternoon, Michael.
Yeah, put your microphone on. It's a classic starter. Hello, I'm Michael Conlon. I've used computers before. Honestly, I'm a transformation consultant for XMA. I'm a big, massive fan of Microsoft Teams. I'm going to be looking at simple, straightforward stuff like how do we issue assignments to students and get them back, and also looking at a really nice formal assessment tool called Forms.
Thank you, Michael. And we also have Lee.
Hiya. I'm Lee Milligan and I lead up the digital learning team up in Glasgow, and I'm going to be talking about communication. So all the tools available to allow learning and teaching to really flourish between teachers, students, families, colleagues, outside agencies. So yeah, talking about communication.
Grand, thank you very much. And then that'll leave me to explore collaboration a little bit later on as well. So I'm going to just pop my wee webcam off here just now and take you through a little bit of Microsoft Teams. Okay, so let's explore what Teams is and see why and how schools are using it within their classroom. Just going to check that we can see the screen there.
There we go.
Okay, so Microsoft Teams, or simply Teams, thank you, is a chat-based collaboration platform that allows users to meet and communicate remotely, share and collaborate documents. Here, we can schedule and host online meetings and create a variety of organized workspaces through things called channels. And the good thing about Teams is that this happens all within one place. Microsoft Teams also utilizes some of the core Office 365 apps, including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Notebook. One of the key components of Teams is its ability to be accessed from anywhere and from everywhere. Its ease of use is compatible across a range of desktop, laptop, and tablet devices, as well as having phone and browser capability. Teams is extremely user-friendly and facilitates remote-based working, which has been ideal in allowing teachers and educators to continue to communicate, collaborate, and create a connected classroom. Let's take a wee look at how it's being used in some schools across the country.
So now we've had to go to remote learning. It's been a fairly simple process through Teams.
Something that I found useful is being able to share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
I can see it. Galaxy divided by 2 is 15.
Brilliant.
That's like an art project as well as a maths game.
It's great that the children are able to see each other as well.
Excellent. Let's have a round of applause for Ella.
How nice is that? Get an opportunity to see your students and to be able to communicate and converse with them. It's just been fantastic to have those opportunities. And due to the current circumstances in which we find ourselves, many educators around the world have been turning to Teams as a way to engage and interact with their students. This platform allows you to create a learning environment where work can be shared, meetings can be held, and discussions and debates can thrive. This has been great and has been shared globally, and there are endless capabilities to communicate and motivate a host of learners. We will share some of these great examples during today's session. However, it will depend on your IT access as to which functions you're able to use, and this could depend what your settings are within your establishment or council's access. Let's take a wee quick look at an example team, how it's set up, and what you can expect when you first set up your class. Within Microsoft Teams, you can organize your classes into something called channels. These could be named topics, maybe student groups, curricular areas, or units. Within each of these channels, you're given a large area. This allows for postings of announcements, discussions, debates, and questions amongst everyone that is a participant of that team. Documents can be uploaded and are automatically saved into files. These can be viewed and collaborated and shared and downloaded. A really nice feature about the class version of Teams is the ability to have a class notebook. Students have access to their own private notebook, which can be used to detail and progress their learning and thought process. Assignments can also be set with deadlines and grades. Another key feature of Microsoft Teams is its ability to actually set a meeting. These can be scheduled and set in advance, and these allow for video and audio conferencing. This can allow tasks to be shared, explained, and discussed in real time. Like I said before, the great thing about Teams is that it takes place all within one setting. You don't have to switch between multiple apps. It's all there. This allows for organised learning, making vital concepts easier to understand, and a functionality which benefits from its ease of use. The past few months have left educators looking for ways to interact and engage with their pupils in the best ways possible. Microsoft Teams allows you to communicate and meet from anywhere, collaborate from anywhere, and in doing so, create a connected classroom. At this point, I'm going to pass over to Lee, who's going to examine how Teams can be used to effectively communicate with others. I'm just going to pass you over just now, Lee.
Thanks, Stuart.
And that should be you now.
Should be. Ears open. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Yep, grand.
Yes.
I
No
presume
problem.
yes. Thank you. Okay, so being able to communicate is one of the most important skills in life, in my opinion. It can mean the difference between someone feeling confident, included, engaged, and understood versus someone feeling embarrassed or frustrated, angry, and even isolated because they just don't understand. Now more than ever, how we communicate is so vital. Teams offers us a variety of tools on various devices and browsers to communicate in a variety of ways, securely, from chatting on a call, meeting virtually face-to-face in groups or individually or as a whole school even or department or class. It allows us to share content before, during and after a call or a meeting in a variety of ways, including video, notes, polls, so that we can really flip that learning. We can review and respond to points after being given that all-important thinking time. As so many teachers and families have been learning the transition from kind of on-site face-to-face to remote learning, we notice it's really, really complex. It requires more than just sending out an email with attached worksheets and instructions. We really need to be making sure that everyone is getting everything they need in order to benefit from learning experiences which are meaningful, challenging, and accessible. So first off is the chat feature in Teams. This allows you to ask questions, share your opinions quickly and efficiently, while also showing off your personality a little bit by using GIFs, stickers, emojis in group chat or one-to-one messages, a little bit like you would in a text or on Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, etc. And kids really like using this, adults too, obviously. For those of you who have had little or no experience of Teams, this is kind of what the user interface looks like. Stuart kind of showed us a little bit of that before. And this is what a team would look like, which you've either created or one which has been created and you have joined. Here we can see that there's a demo teacher account and she is in her physical science team or her class, essentially. The general channel is always generated as a default automatically, and you as the organizer or the creator of the team and any of the other nominated owners are then able to add other channels and other content into it. These could be topics, they could be weeks of a term, it could be a project, group work, or a channel for homework or resources. Within these, you can chat within these channels using that @ to mention specific people, or you could @ to the actual team or class as a whole, and that gets their attention about something. You can add those GIFs, which I was talking about before, you can add emojis, polls, and share files. And members of the team can then reply and show their like, their dislike, even their sadness and anger to comments using the emojis when you just hover over that comment or reply to it. But as Stuart said, it must be noted that any of these tools can be changed or adapt. They can be switched on or off just as per your establishment's policies. So on the left-hand side of Teams, you have links to activities. So these are like notifications of chat, messages and replies that you'd get like on Facebook, for example. And chat, so if we go into Teams, we can click on the channel we are working in and we can start a new conversation easily and quickly. Here we can see more clearly the options available to us from the A, which gives us even more options when messaging. We've got the paperclip for attaching documents, we've got pictures, emojis, GIFs, stickers, memes. We've also got Microsoft Stream for attaching recordings that we may have pre-recorded some lesson content. We've got praise stickers, always lovely to receive those. And we've got forms for feedback. We've got website links, YouTube links as well. Great to flip that learning. Stick in a link for a YouTube channel, get your learners to watch it and then ask questions on that. And I think actually Michael's going to show us how a little bit later. These are all really easy to attach, see and find within the channel. If we go back to the menu, okay, and on the left hand side we can also click on chat or the new message icon at the top here, and this is how you could start a conversation or we could reply to a conversation. We could also use the search bar at the top to search for keywords to look back on anything within the team, including maybe some chat that we've had with a colleague or with one of our pupils. The announcements feature, when we click on the A formatting tool to expand the compose box, allows you to choose an announcement. It allows you to select a background color and to really customize your post so that it pops and gets your team or your class's attention on something important. So this could be a deadline, it could be sports days coming, even if that's virtually. It could be anything that you want, but you can also choose who can reply to any of these announcements or to any of the chat. So it could either be everyone in the team or only you and moderators. So maybe it is an announcement and you don't need any replies, you just want to put it out there. If you, for example, have 3 S1 classes, you could also post it in the same announcement in different channels, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself, so going into different channels and posting the same announcement, so that's really handy. Finally, you can add some fun and personalities with these stickers, GIFs and memes, and you can share great work, positivity and thanks with these praise stickers. I don't know anyone who doesn't love a praise sticker. So all of this, and I've only just shown you the chat. But sometimes typing messages just isn't enough and you need a little bit more interaction. This is where the calling feature is great. So using the menu bar on the left-hand side, you can call colleagues then and there. For example, if you work in a large school, it might take you a good, I'm not joking, half an hour to get from one side of the school to the other, especially if you've got to stop and speak to kids or somebody else. Or if you're meant to be in a meeting with an outside agency or your cluster at a certain time, but you can't get from school to that other location in time, maybe it's on the bell. So why not just join the meeting virtually? Why do you have to travel? You can do all the things you would have done face-to-face, except actually shaking hands and traveling there. You've got the benefit of being able to call ad hoc, so there and then you could call a colleague, or you can schedule a meeting by inviting people. So those again could be colleagues, but it could also be families, it could be pupils, and they would be invited then to join that scheduled meeting, again using the video encryption and tight security that we get from Microsoft Teams. The new kind of remote blended learning models have required new ways of thinking to create compelling, engaging and inclusive content. And for educators, seeing your students face to face at the same time makes a difference in student engagement, as well as that social and emotional connection. Sometimes you just want to see how someone's face, to see how they're feeling, even if they're saying something. In order to schedule meetings online, all you have to do is click on the calendar option again on the left-hand side menu, and here you can start a meeting with colleagues right away. Or something you'll probably use more often with classes and with your learners is that you would add a new meeting by selecting the date and the time, and then either the channel, which is really handy because you just pop that meeting into the channel and then everyone in that channel, in that group, gets invited. Or you can also invite people individually with their emails, which is also quite handy, especially if you're trying to schedule a meeting for outside agencies, for example. Using Outlook, it will also give you options of when people are free for a meeting, which is really handy. Here are some of the features while you're on a call. You can turn your video feed on or off. So just like we did there, you could see our lovely faces and then we put them off very quickly. You can mute yourself, you can share your screen, you can record the meeting so that it can be reviewed and watched even after you've done your live recording or meeting. And that's really handy for consolidation and that flipped kind of problem-based learning. You can blur your backgrounds, or I know that some teachers who have created their own virtual classroom backgrounds using, for example, Bitmojis, and then they've used the screen grab as a background. So the kids are like, oh, what class are we in today? And they've got the different backgrounds. We've got live captions as well, which can also be enabled. This is a great tool for ensuring that everyone can see what you're saying, almost like subtitles. We've got the chat function, which I was just talking about. It can also be accessed as part of the meeting, so that when you're in that meeting, you can have chat ongoing as well. But again, you can switch this on and off. You've also got the raise hand tool, which is great if you want to let the speaker know that you want to ask a question. You can also see all your participants and invite any members who are perhaps running late or have forgotten about the meeting, which is great. I've used that quite a lot. Just, a meeting scheduled and you can see that 4 people haven't come in, but just call and they go, oh yeah, I need to be there. So here are some steps and considerations and tools on offer, and we could speak about just this for a whole hour or more. But these are kind of the tools that are there on offer to ensure you get the most successful outcomes from your meeting. And Microsoft are constantly listening to feedback and improving at a very a rapid pace, so that you have all the tools you need to deliver those great virtual lessons and meetings. So we've got the before, where we kind of spoke about, that's creating your class, that's scheduling your meeting. You can update your meeting options so that you can choose those options within it to say, right, I don't want some users to be able to present, I just want to present, and I want my learners just to be able to watch what I am doing. I don't want them to be able to share their screen either. That gives you that control and that confidence to go ahead and do that. You can share your pre-read materials in advance, and you can also make a test call, which is really handy if maybe you've had to move into another room or even into a different location, you're not sure your bandwidth, make a test call, see how good it is. At the start, we were talking about you customize your background. You can use that @mention into that team or that channel rather to say, right guys, here's an announcement, you know, we're about to go live in 10 minutes, join. You can have your learners be in a lobby, and this is all to do with your meeting options. So in your meeting options, you can allow your learners to stay in a lobby. You come into the meeting, you start that meeting, and just like you would in a classroom, you go, right, I'm in the classroom now you can come in. Depends on your class. So you then allow those learners to come into your lobby, or even outside agencies, come into my meeting from the lobby, and now we can start the meeting. You can mute all your attendees. So before it used to be, right, can you please mute yourself? Can you please mute yourself? But now you can just mute everybody. You can start recording, which is fantastic because then you can use that recording so that learners can watch it again and again and again. And you can enable those live captions. During, you can obviously present that content that you've got by sharing your screen. You can add links into your chat even and get your learners to click on the links, and then they could look at that link and you could be talking over whatever that document or link is. You can play a video. You can see student faces if that's switched on. Right now it's just gone up to 9 faces and soon it's going to be 49, but Stuart will talk a bit more about that. Obviously you can address anyone who's raised their hand. You can look in the chat window and see what chat's going on, but you can also monitor it and switch that on and off. There will soon be breakout rooms too. And then after, I think this is really important, because how the lesson doesn't finish as soon as the bell goes. Really, you can signal that the meeting's ended, but you can also export your attendance and you can look at all the conversations that have gone on. Your students can access the meeting recording, as can you, and this is quite American, you can get the student's pulse. You can basically get feedback from your students on that class or that meeting, whether that's from feedback in a forms document or a poll, it's up to you. And you can mute student comments at the very end if that's what you wish to do. And finally, but by no means lastly, accessibility has always been core to Microsoft's approach, and this includes new benefits from the tech, such as the Microsoft Translator for Education tool, and of course, Immersive Reader, which is very cleverly and intuitively integrated into Teams so that everyone can feel empowered to engage and communicate despite any barriers. And if you want to see a little bit more about Immersive Reader, we did a session right at the start which was recorded, and it is available along with other recordings in our We Are XMA YouTube channel. But we can also demo, you know, this has been very quick, my little part at least. We can demo further if you want to get in touch, and Stuart will give you more details about this. But as schools and universities and colleges continue to adapt and evolve at this rapid pace due to the ever-changing situation we find ourselves in, Teams really allows us to keep communicating, keep us calm, a little bit calmer, and change with the times together. And with the hope of the return to full-time education in the new term and session, some might think, what is the point of this? But I think that Teams has really shown us that how we can communicate more efficiently and effectively anywhere and at any time, so that if we do return to normal, I say with inverted commas, we still want to harness everything that we have learned from this experience and continue to grow and really use it as a tool to take that learning out of the classroom as well as inside, which we were always doing before, and this is just another tool to do so. So I'm going to stop waffling on now. That's my little bit about communication. I think Stuart's going to tell us a bit about collaboration.
Grand, thank you, Lee. Me, and I'll just get my screen up. Happy days. Thank you very much for giving us that little insight to communication there with Microsoft Teams. And you're right, we could spend hours, whole sessions talking about what is capable and the things you could do with Microsoft Teams. I think just now here all we're doing is the wee snapshot and important parts. And it is a wee thing to remember as well is that Microsoft Teams has been used in education long before the situation that we find ourselves within, and has been used successfully around the globe, and which is why I think it's actually stood from when remote learning happened up until now, why it's so popular, the features that are available within it certainly. Collaboration is a main key feature within Microsoft Teams as well. And as we all know, collaboration is all about working together towards a common goal or aim. As educators, we naturally provide support and opportunities to enhance cooperation, peer and group workings, and a shared responsibility in tasks and learning experiences. Microsoft Teams ensures that collaboration is prevalent among users. This allows students and colleagues to come together and work together in real time, as well as providing the opportunity to access the curriculum at any time with access to files, chats, and more in one place. And I think that's a key thing in the current situation as well, that a lot of our educators, a lot of our students aren't able to access the normal 9 to 3, 9 to 5, whenever style of curriculum. By accessing this on Microsoft Teams, gives a little bit of onus to the user and a wee bit more flexibility for when they access their files. Let's take a wee look at how you can use collaboration within Microsoft Teams. As your teams work together, you'll undoubtedly have files that you want to share and collaborate on. Teams makes it easy to share files and work on them together, simply by dragging and dropping or uploading the content into your team for collaboration. We can use live documents within Word, Excel, and PowerPoints, which can be uploaded and collaborated on right within Teams and at real time. Here, we have uploaded a Microsoft Word document into Teams, and we have invited students to access and carry out a task. In this case, we've asked the students to create their own board game and to create their own characters. And here you can see that each student has accessed the file simultaneously. You'll notice that each student is able to populate the file. They're able to view the changes that others are making in real time. And as a teacher, we can view this learning taking place. We can make mentions or give directions as needed. And you'll notice at the top, there is also a conversation function built straight into the document. This allows for relevant chat and dialogue to take place without having to leave this document and open up another chat box. A really nice feature and a really nice way that you can see groups of learners working together. Another feature within Teams is something called the class notebook. This utilises the OneNote technology, and ClassNote is a digital notebook which the whole class can use and can be used to store text, images, handwritten notes, attachments, links, voice recordings, videos, and much more. This gives the teacher the ability to share their own personal insight to their students and populate with data as needed. Students can access, alter, and collaborate within this environment and save and create personalised work in their own notebooks. They can use their own personal notebook as a private space, which can be shared with the teacher and individual student as well. Here, you can see class notebooks being created within a general task. I'm going to show you setup and examples of how this would look within an education stance. We'll see tabbed some areas of units, topics at the side. Teachers are able to populate these areas with key coursework material. This could be personally typed in, the sharing of pictures and videos for students to access. And again, the nice thing about this is it's all within the one area. There is collaboration spaces for students to talk and discuss. And a content library is a place for materials and readings and worksheets to be shared that cannot be altered. The teacher is able to give personalised feedback. And a nice feature as well within the class notebook is the ability to share and give stickers to the students, because let's face it, who doesn't want a little crab playing the drums? Class Notebook is huge, and it is really nice for creating a collaboration space, again, where notes can be stored for everyone to see at any time. A content library allows the teacher to publish and upload course materials, which gives the students a view access only. This means that newsletters and key curricular content can be uploaded without fear of being changed. As I said before as well, students are given their own private space. The teacher is able to view and edit this content and can have personal and private interactions with their teacher. Nice thing about this is it puts a little personal touch for the student, in the same way the students would maybe doodle or put their own ideas down in their own personal notebook. This can be achieved digitally within the class notebook in Teams. Another nice little feature within Teams is the ability to share a whiteboard with your class. This can be used to express or explain key learning concepts. To do this, you start a call, and using the share function, which is the little square with the arrow pointing upwards, you can select the whiteboard feature. This, in essence, gives the teacher and students the ability to view and collaborate on an interactive blank canvas. This feature can then enable an educator to use drawing tools on this blank canvas, much in the same way that would take place in class. This can allow for extra detail, explanation, and understanding of tasks. It can allow for a representation of data to then become visual. It gives another little personal touch as it's coming directly from the educator. And again, tasks and discussion and debate can be used through this. Students could collaborate a board, for instance, share quotes from novels, or again, gather data as necessary, storyboarding and collaborating ideas in real time. Another nice little feature within using this whiteboard is the ability to save the images to be stored and viewed at a later time. Teachers have been at the forefront of a shift in learning from in-school to remote, accessible learning at home. Educators have had to very quickly adapt their learning experience and find new ways to engage and interact with their students. Microsoft Teams has been using this way to influence education for a long time, and it has helped to communicate and collaborate teaching and learning during these recent circumstances. In allowing this, it has allowed the classrooms to meet, interact, and continue to learn together. As I said earlier, there are so many possibilities within Microsoft Teams, and putting it all together creates a connected classroom. I'm going to pass on just now to my colleague Michael, who's going to explore some of the connected classroom and extra functions available within Teams. Thank you. Just pass on to you now, Michael, if that's okay.
Thank you very much.
And that should be you.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Hope you can all hear me okay. Is that all right? Can you see what I'm needing to see?
Gran, looks
Yeah,
good.
look good.
Fabulous. Okay, so now we're in live. Oh, that's my door shutting because of the wind. If you just heard a big bang there, I do apologise. So here what we've got is us in a live environment in Teams. This is me inside a classroom. I have got the physical science classroom here. I have the channels that was spoken about earlier to help me organise my class. Every single team you set up has got a general channel, and then what we have after that is just channels that we can add ourselves to help us organise our class by topic or by what we're doing that term, that sort of thing. And here we have the posts area, and you can see the kind of activity that's been going on in the posts, where There's been some assignments set, we're having conversations, I'm getting feedback from the students about particular things that have gone on. I've given them a link to a website and they've maybe commented on that. They've even given me a link to a trailer of a movie that they saw. So there's all those sorts of things, and as we saw before, we've got all of these little GIFs and stickers and things you can add. They're all down here. So what I wanted to do is just have a look at some really simple things in and around assessment and assignments and how we organise ourselves in that way. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to use Microsoft Forms in a really new way. If you haven't used Microsoft Forms, I'm going to show you a kind of new way of using it. So here we have within my new conversation, if I type in the @ symbol and then follow that with the word forms, I'm going to get an option to easily create surveys, quizzes and polls. So I'm going to create a new poll. Now, why would I want to create a new poll? Well, it could be an entry ticket into my classroom to find out about their understanding. It could be an exit ticket to find out how they got on. It could be a quick poll question. I'm asking for a whole host of reasons. So here's a question I want to ask. Did you manage to understand the concept of moles in chemistry? So quick poll here, and I can add yes, I can add no, maybe, well, it depends if you want that as an answer, but I can add options of my own when I want to. Click on next, and that's what's going to look like on the student screen, and they'll choose yes or no, and then they'll submit a vote. So let me just send that to all the students, and that will appear in their post timeline, just exactly as it appears here in mine. So what the students are going to go and do then is that they are going to go and submit their votes, and you will see down here the live update as students begin to reply to my question, to my poll. So 2 students, did you see this updating? It's refreshing again. So I'm only using 2 students at the moment, so we've got a 50-50 break onto that. And if that was a class of 20 kids, for example, you're going to get a flavour of, did people understand that? How are they feeling about yesterday's lesson, or how do they feel about the lesson we've just had? And then you use that information, of course, in order to inform what you do next. That's the whole point of formative assessment, isn't it? A really nice, cute way of being able to do it here within the posts area as you're teaching the class. I want to have a quick look at Microsoft Forms, if you don't mind, because we're going to use it when we're going to use the assignments feature. So I'll quickly jump into here, and I will go to Office 365, and I'm going to look at forms. Now, I like working in forms on a big screen rather than within Teams, but you can add a tab and have the forms and exactly sitting in within Teams if that's what you want to do. But let's have a look at the forms here. These are all quizzes and tests that I've set up for classes in the past. I'm going to look at a class test. Before we create our own, let's look at what one of these forms could look like. I'm going to go to a preview. This is a setup screen to set up my form. If I go into preview, you'll see that this is what it looks like when the students get hold of it. Okay, when they're sent this quiz, this is what it will look like. And you can see what it looks like on a computer. You can see what it looks like on a mobile device. And that's useful because many of our students are already out there using mobile devices, and they're used to filling in this kind of thing on that device. But looking back at the computer, you can see the type of questions we can ask. We can ask a typical multiple choice question. But you'll notice when I hover over the question itself, there's a little immersive reader symbol. And that means that across the estate, that what Microsoft are trying to do is to make sure that accessibility is built in everywhere you look. So we can have, if I click on immersive reader, we can have that question read out to us if I press play.
1. Ada Lovelace worked in collaboration to develop the difference engine with which famous mathematicians.
So it's accessibility built in right from the very beginning. So I can answer these questions. So a straightforward multiple choice, it was Charles Babbage. You can have text responses, either short or long responses. And so her contribution was number 3, which I'm sure you all knew. This is a question where you can reorder the options. You can move these around. Very popular type of question. And then the fourth type of question we use a lot is a kind of Likert question, where we have statements on the left, some columns on the top there, and we just choose what it is. Or better, I strongly disagree, that's neutral. And I do believe mathematics. Moving on. And then finally, here's a question you can ask that asks them to upload a file in terms of the response to the question. So this is about a new logo for women in science. So this could be a really simple way of you gathering in work from students through a quiz or a form. And then the students would submit that, and then they would view the results. How did they get on? 2 points out of 10. And that's how it would work. Now let's see back as a designer of that test, you can see how it's built up. So when I click on a question, I get to choose what the answers are, and I must tell the system what the correct answer out of those 4 is. For the ones which are incorrect, I can maybe even leave a little bit of feedback for them. You know, something better than this. Obviously, something about better feedback than that, but you can give them feedback if they get it wrong. Multiple choice questions are incredibly challenging to create because the distraction answers really have to be quite close and have a reason for being one of the options that they can choose. So good feedback can really help students with their understanding. This is a straightforward text question. And so you build it question by question and then adding new questions as you want. And once people start filling it in, then you can start looking at the responses. And you get nice detailed graphs and pictures to help you understand where the thinking of the children is, what they're thinking about, and you can see the files that they're working on. Okay, so that's Microsoft Forms. And the reason why why I've gone there is because I want to look at this assignments feature. And we're going to use that form as an assignment in just a second. This is my current assignments that I have out for students. And if you've got your IT admin to support you, you can set your teams up so that a Guardian email can go home once a week. I know there's other options out there, Show My Homework and Google Classroom, etc. But this is a really nice way of being able to keep parents up to date with what is going on back in school, so they get an idea of the assignments that are due and things like that. And I know Microsoft are busy moving that on even further. So I'm going to start by creating a new assignment. I'll come back to quiz in a minute, but let's just choose a straightforward normal assignment that you would give out, where you would give children some resources, you give them the question, they have to fill in their answers, etc., and then send it back to you, and then you mark it, and then you send it back to them. Now, traditionally, all that's done on bits of paper in many respects. You hand out the homework sheet, they fill it in, etc., etc. We're going to do all of this paperlessly, including the marking, including the grading, and the storing of those grades in a file. So let's start. This is the screen you have to fill in. So let's give it a title. I'm going to call it a Comp Sci refresh. So it's questions to get the students to look back over the content. What's the instructions? Well, the instructions are to look at the presentation, and this could be a video, it could be a PowerPoint that's been recorded, and answer the questions. That's my instructions, and then I get to add some resource to this. So if I click on Add Resource, there goes that door again. Here's the resource, and I'm looking for Comp Sci Doc. Okay, that's one of the resources I want, and I also want this presentation too. I'm going to attach those for each student, and every student will get a copy of the presentation. You'll see that compsci.doc, it says students can't edit, but I'm going to change that so students edit their own copy. So rather than me printing out 20 sheets, what I'm doing is I'm sending it once to everybody, and they all get their own digital copy, and that becomes the norm in the way that you work. I can set up the number of points. Let's go for 20 marks. You can add a rubric to support the learning for the student so that they understand what good, bad, or indifferent looks like. You can then assign it to a particular class, and we're going to keep it to the physical science class. But if you get several year groups all studying the same subject, if you get you know, 3 third-year classes all studying the same thing, you can put this to all of those classes. But you can also choose which students that this assessment goes to, because we do have differentiation to look after and think about. So that's what we would do if we've got differentiated assignments that we want to work with our students with, and that's incredibly powerful. Give it a due date, etc., and the notification that that assignment has been sent will go to the general channel. So once that's done, I can then simply assign this assignment. Okay, comp sci refresh. And if we look back in posts, I'm hoping we're going to see at some point that that has been uploaded. That assignment has been set for the students. So if I go back into assignments, I can see my comp sci refresh. Taking a little while, and you can see there's my class list, that's who it went to, and we can see that nobody has yet turned it in. So nobody has turned in that piece of work, which is shocking. I would expect better of them, to be honest. So if I go to one of my students, I'm sitting with 2 computers here. I'm going to get one of my students to send it back to me. I'm going to get them to hand it back in. And I think that came from William. So William has now turned that in, and I can go to any student and see exactly what it is they've handed in response to me. So if I go back out, is it refreshed here? If I go back out here, and I go to one of my other tests, you'll see what that looks like. You'll see which students have handed it in, which haven't handed it in. It was that one, I thought. Yeah, so there was one where William has handed it in, and there's one where Dell also handed it in. Now, when students hand work in, and I've marked it, I can then go to grades, and what I'll have is a collection of all the tests that I've done. I've only been doing this with William, obviously, some of which don't have marks in them, for example. They're just pieces of assessment I want to send to them. And what I end up having is a curation of all the assignments that I've set for the class and all the points that they've got. So this for my entire class would be filled in with what they've got. So I don't have to do anything about, you know, taking the marks that were on a bit of paper, transferring them onto a spreadsheet. Any of that kind of stuff I don't have to do anymore, which is really, really good. It saves me a lot of time. And then if I want to, if my senior manager wants to see that data, I can either invite them to be a member of the class, a teacher of the class, or I can export this content to Microsoft Excel, and then you can manipulate that in any way you wish. You can turn it into charts, and I know there's other options that Microsoft are looking at. So a really, really nice way of being able to set assignments and get the content back from them. We created, as you know, earlier on, a little quiz. So now if I want to create a new assignment from a quiz, what it'll do is it'll open up all the forms that I have created in Microsoft Forms. And one of the things I really like about this is once you've created that assessment, you can use that again and again and again, year in, year out, with your classes. You don't have to recreate it. So once that assessment's been built, then off you go, you can use it next year. So there's the class tests. Let's call it class test 3, because I've already done a couple. It's going to all students, and then I'm going to post that assignment. Again, that gets assigned to all students. And once again, what will happen is that they will get notification of that assignment, and then they'll complete that assignment and hand it back in. And again, I'll be able to go into grades and have a look at it. Incredibly powerful piece of work. All paperless, and you can upload Word documents. So if you've got Word documents you want to work with and get students to submit to you, you can do that. Or if you've got a Google Doc, you can bring that into your assignments and into your workflow within Microsoft Teams. We can add websites to the team space so that they're always going and always having the resources that they need in order to complete assignments, or always have these resources available to them at any time. And so that's really what I wanted to cover then. I wanted to cover assignments and the ability to distribute and create quizzes or assignments we've set up with resources. One last thing about Microsoft Forms, I'll just sneak it in here. One of the things I really like about it is that in my quiz, I can add pictures to it, but I can also add video to this. I can add video into my quiz. So if I grab hold of this video of famous historic mathematicians, let me grab that website, go into here, into forms, and then I paste that into the quiz. There's a YouTube video which will sit in the quiz. It will play within the computer version or the mobile version. So it's a really nice way of doing that flipped learning thing, isn't it? So you can say to the students, watch this video, answer these questions, and then when you come in the next day, I know you'll have watched the content, I'll know how much you've understood, and then I take my learning and plan my lessoning around that particular aspect of it. So I hope you've got something out of that. I'm now going to pass back to Stuart.
And thank you.
The PQRS. Stuart. I can't see you on this, Stuart. Hold on.
You can just pinch.
Sorry?
I can just pinch it off you.
Just pinch it off me then.
There we go.
Thank you.
Actually, no worries. Obviously practicing your alphabet there, Michael. Thank you for showing us the connected classroom there and some of the functions that you can use with the forums and assignments, certainly. And as we keep saying here, there is so much that you could obviously look at and divulge into. And like most things with technology, the more you play about with it, the more things that you can find to do with it. And small steps certainly go a long way. Microsoft Teams offers education free access, depending on your establishment and council, will depend on the access that is available to you. Coming soon, some of the nice features that are coming to Microsoft Teams that you will be able to gain access to is 7x7 view of your screens. So that'll be up to 49 participants if you have access to that from your IT, if that's available. That then essentially could allow a whole class to log on or within a meeting, certainly create a lot more people to join. You're going to have these things called breakout rooms, so you could create essentially sub rooms where small groups of people could go, maybe work on a task collaboratively, and then come back to the main meeting room. And then just some nice other features that upwards of 300 attendees will be able to join a meeting, and even things like having the educator only starting the meeting, so that the only person within there that could possibly do prior points to the learning before commencing it and allowing others to join as well. Time is marching on, so I'm going to point you in a few extra places where you can learn a wee bit more about Microsoft Teams. If you would wish, you can access the links that are available here and join the Microsoft Edu remote learning sites. There is some great content that's available shared by educators as well with some experiences. Blogs are also the really nice place to keep up to date with what's happening within the teams, and some nice videos on YouTube as well to follow. Our webinars are recorded, so including this one, and they will be uploaded to YouTube. If you head over to our XMA website, you can find all of our previous webinar recordings on there. They are also on our YouTube site, which you can go back and view. So this Microsoft Teams one, Teams for Teaching, will be available within a few days. Another nice place, and if you've not been on it, I can only strongly recommend heading over here, is the Microsoft Education Centre. Here you are able to enrol in online courses. They can guide you through key teaching and learning concepts. There's some really good ones that discuss remote learning and the impact it's having on education. There's some really nice ones for accessibility and coding within there. And if you stick with it and enroll in enough courses and complete them, some of them from half an hour to a few hours, you can get the recognition as a Microsoft Innovative Educator and be given your MIE badge, which shows just how well you have been connecting with the Microsoft technology. As well as that, our XMA store, an education store, is still open for business. We have a range of software and hardware options available, and we also offer this for educators at our education store. We offer direct delivery and can address this to your home, and we have live order tracking, so please visit the XMA store for any educational needs that you may require. I noticed a couple of little questions coming through. We are coming close to crunch time. One of the ones was about 3x3 videos and maybe someone being able to only access 4 videos. Something that I recently discovered certainly is updating your settings can help. Now, if maybe some functions aren't working correctly as well, at the top right hand corner of your Teams where you see a profile picture, you'll have a wee tab here that says check for updates. If you tap on that, you'll be able to download and ensure that you have the most up-to-date software there available. A couple other wee ones we've got there as well. Let's have a wee look. Why are we not using Teams? It's a good question. Talk to your education establishment. What capabilities are needed? Again, it depends the need that you're asking it for. Essentially, all you need would be to download the app or access within the browser. There isn't too much of a difference between the two. So another one that we've got there is asking about, one was asking about the handwriting. The handwriting one that I was showing there was 2 instances. Handwriting from the shared screen was in my whiteboard, interactive whiteboard. So that was the share screen whilst on a call. Within the One Class notebook, it was just a pen tool. I did use a tablet device and a stylus just to get that obviously down and a wee bit easier of use rather than having my mouse controlling things that we were doing.
Yeah, I think someone's also asking about, I'd like to have all our forward planning on Teams, and I would like to send areas of the curriculum to the assignment feature, or would this be better to be done through OneNote? I think you mean like class notebook. So yeah, in my experience, if you're looking at the curriculum, then I would use the class notebook and break down your areas of the curriculum in that. But then if you've got assessments and assignments, then use the assignments feature for that. But I don't know if anyone's got any other experience that's different from that.
And please remember that we are here to help. Follow us on Twitter, we are XMA and XMA Learning as well. We might have a wee break during the summer as schools close. If you are taking a break from this, can we say thank you very much for all of your hard work. Thank you for all your patience and everything that you've been doing to help educators and mould the next generation of civilians. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and if we don't see you again, we will see you in the new term. Thank you very much. Good evening and goodbye.
Don't know if we're going to get to see Michael's lovely face. There we go.
There we go.
We'll try. There's some other questions there, so I think what we'll do is we have to get off this, but we'll address your questions after this and we'll send them back to you directly. So yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.